once you find out about something like this, it just ruins bunkhouses for you forever. Hey, welcome everybody. Josh RV Nerd of Bish's RV down here at Grand Design today. I've not seen this model before. I don't think it's brand new. I think it's been around a season or two. But the idea behind this is like, forget bunkhouses. This is a true 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom kind of RV, where if you're going to spend a long time out there, this is the kind of thing that'll work. And it works better if you have larger kids, or maybe you have an adult child with special needs, or you need a literal mother-in-law, father-in-law suite, someplace where they have their own space. This does that. Now, there's parts of this that I really like better than any other dual suite RV I've seen, and there's parts of this that maybe go, oh. So like, I love the fact that it's not a rear drop frame. Many of these 2-bedroom, 2-bathrooms, you actually have a drop frame tail on this. And basically, other than leaving it parked somewhere, if you tow that sucker, there's a very high chance it's going to look like a dog scratching its butt on the floor somewhere. It's just going to, every bump you hit, it's so long, the tail will hit the ground, you know? Not every bump, I speak in extremes, sorry. And so I like that this one doesn't have that. And it means that it's nice and tall and comfy in the rear bedroom and the rear bathroom. Holy crap, dude. You could, I don't care how tall you are, you're not going to hit your head in there, I don't care. The living room, the kitchen, love. Almost no notes, chef's kiss. Where this one goes, for me, is when I get upstairs in the front of it. They went with a north-south queen or RV king bed. And if you go with the RV king bed, it is completely shoved up in the corner, which is what we're going to see today. The queen will still give you some room to walk around, but because they went with a bedroom, bathroom, closet slide instead of a traditional bed slide, because that would have mean the thing would have to be even larger. It means that if you go king bed, you go corner bed. For some people, that's a problem. For some people, it's fine. I want to give you the good and the bad to let you decide if this works for you or not, because I'm not the authority. And if we're going to kind of give credit where it's due, although there were sort of like RV fossil record predecessors to this dual bedroom arrangement, I think the Avalanche 395 DS is the one that really made it popular to have the true 2-bedroom, 5th-wheel arrangement. But every one of these has something they really like and a couple things I really don't. I really, really like this one's living room arrangement, because many of these 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom arrangements, they don't really have a lot of seating. And I'll get you a better angle on that wraparound style sofa from the other way. But the theater seat section facing right at the entertainment, right at the fireplace, feels very awesome, very organic, you know. Where I like this one, and where it's, to me, it strikes me as most similar to the Alliance Paradigm 395 DS, is that it has like dedicated living seating and a dedicated dining space, but like it has enough seats for all the butts it can actually sleep. And as silly as that sounds, a lot of these things do not. Now, I kind of just became aware of something here. The ceiling height in this slide is awesome. I'm a little bit over 6 foot, by the way. With the shoes I'm wearing, I'm probably representing about 6'2" on camera, so I think we're close to 7 foot here, which just makes this thing look and feel awesome. Now, if I sit down at the opposing sofa over here, this is kind of what you're looking at. Notice the absolute no knee knocker dining table. That is a very cool overlook over here off the campsite of the RV. If you factor out the barbed wire and chain link fence, that's just very pretty looking out there today. You do have the blackout roller shades, as you can see over on the right-hand side of the screen. That table, much to my chagrin, does not pivot to convert into a desk function. Man, I wish it did. Now, I want to give you a real quick note. I have this ladder here just so that you can see that it is included. You do not use these in a straight vertical fashion. Now, this is true of any telescopic ladder, not just this one. What you basically want to do is for about every 3.5-ish feet up you want to go about 1 foot out. So you really want this one fully extended and on that kind of angle. but I didn't really want it in my way, so I didn't put it that way. But now, talking about it, I put it back in my way. So whatever. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna turn chicken poop into chicken soup. And awful as that sounds, we're gonna get up here. Now, here's the thing. They intentionally didn't make this a tall loft. Most people don't tend to use the lofts in their RVs for sleeping. Most people tend to use the lofts in their RVs for storage, cargo, stuff like that. So instead of completely kneecapping the towability of the RV for the benefit of a loft that most people don't sleep in, they intentionally minimized the loft so that you do not have a rear drop frame area, which means that the lower tail of this thing is not scraping the ground. Notice how you have no level change here. Working our way through, these 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom arrangements are really tricky for me when we get back here because it is fairly tight quarters. I do want to mention before I forget, they actually do have ducting running through this ceiling space right here. And on that note, this is an RV that by default has dual air, but it is triple air capable from the factory. Last year, if you wanted triple air on an Influence, you could get it, but you had to custom order it from the factory that way. It was an option, but you couldn't do it after the fact. Now this, by the way, is a 60 by 80 true queen bed. And like most, you have that whole storage arrangement down there. The bed up in the front room, the size of that changes depending on how you option the RV. By default, that is also a 60 by 80 true queen, but you can get it with the, 70 or 72 by 80 RV king bed that we're looking at. Now, I'm actually standing in the storage area to help get you this footage here today. This area you can see is either just a big closet, but it can be either combo or washer dryer prepped as well. Now, normally the TV wouldn't be up in your face, but normally you wouldn't be standing in the storage under the bed like I am, but that is a smart TV. And if it looks a little weird, I'm not using a wide angle lens. It's actually downward angled a little bit so that when you're sitting in bed, it feels a lot more natural and organic. Now this over here, it took me a second of looking at it and all of a sudden I went, oh, I see what they did. Because I'm like, why? Like, I see the hanging thing in here, but this is too close. And all of a sudden I went, wait a minute, that's removable. And if I'm not mistaken, this can come out to you. So reaching your clothing can also be a little easier. Sometimes just the little convenience, user-friendly function details like that, those are the things that I think I've come to appreciate the most in RV design. Something else I was noticing, these drawers are down with the thickness. They feel very substantial. It kind of reminds me of the way the heavy-duty drawers feel in stuff like Outdoors RV or like a Northwood Arctic Fox. People ask me all the time, why don't I record Northwoods and ORVs? We have them in our lineup, but they're made in Oregon, and I live in Michigan, and we don't get them here in this area very often, so I don't get to travel very often to get them. Anyway, porcelain foot flush stool here, and you can see plenty of space around that. But check out this noise, man. This shower is just crazy stupid tall because it's the height of that loft, but the loft does not run all the way to the rear wall. So you actually have all of the headroom back in that little space right there, which I think is very cool. And although I would probably never leave this window open, at least not very often, I still appreciate a window in the bathroom, but I do like that it has a privacy shade. Whoop, I'm tripping over the toilet. Let me get you around the corner here, trying to move slowly. You get a little peek at me in the shower. We already kind of saw that, but let me get you down here because if you take a look over here, the top drawer, you're like, what is that? It's like a blow dryer holder and power outlets dedicated to it, which I think is very cool, and then dedicated space for a wastebasket under. The funny thing is, this bathroom is so big and tall, it almost feels barren. But I don't know that I need anything else up here. Like, what, cabinets? I can't reach them. You know what I mean? Also, pardon the shower bar in the face. Two guys walk into a bar. One says, ow, the other's unconscious. You have the bigger XL vent fans here, which it blows me away how how many big high dollar RVs don't do that? When even a more budget basic camper, like nearly everything in the Cherokee family of RVs and Surveyors now, like some more budget friendly campers are finding ways to do this. I don't know why some of the big high dollar brands also have not, but this I am a sucker for these wraparound lounge sofas. Here's the thing. So the two seats that we're looking at right here, those are ripcord style manual recliners. This over here is not a sleeper sofa in the traditional sense, but if you take all those back cushions off, an adult sized person could certainly spend the evening there and be just fine. Not to mention you've got tons of other seating in this thing. And you got big windows for awesome airflow on both sides of this. One of the things that I think is probably the best and easily most underrated part of this RV, though, is the kitchen. I am a huge fan of these wraparound kitchens. The way that you have all that solid surface countertop space, you have all that stuff available. You don't have to go traipsing around. You don't have to trip over somebody. Like, I swear 40% of my marriage in my home is me or my spouse saying, I need in that drawer. Can you move? Sorry, you're in the way. Can you move now? You know, it's like not having that problem because everything is just in one spot, I personally think is very, very cool. I also was very pleasantly surprised when I was just expecting normal wood shelves in the pantry. I love it when they include drawers so the storage comes to you. I love that. I believe that's a 20 cubic foot, 12 volt compressor fridge, by the way. I don't have the hard measurement on that in front of me, but there's only so many things used in the RV industry. I'm pretty sure that's one of them. Again, the drawer construction throughout the RV, just very buttery smooth and soft close. I didn't mention that before. Really appreciate the big space under the sink for large waste baskets, and they have made some very significant plumbing enhancements. Like you might notice like all brass connectors. There's no flex lines with PEX crimpings or anything like that. Individual shutoff valves for every water fixture. Also that 5-piece, what's it called? TikTok farm sink, whatever, smart sink or whatever it's called right there. You know, all those little odds and ends. Oh, hold on. Before I forget, this is kind of around the corner, so sometimes I miss this. A feature that I love that it baffles me that fewer RVs have this is a place to hang a jacket right by the door. That's also where your converter is located. And they went ahead and they ran this all the way up to the ceiling, which, I mean, it's not easy to reach all the time, but it's not wasted. You know, they utilized all the space that they possibly could in this thing anywhere that they generally found it available. Now, it takes me a couple different waves to catch all the kitchen storage in this one because there is a lot of it basically here. Big residential size microwave. I don't believe, I'll open that. I tell you, I'll open it right now. I don't believe that's convection. I think it's just huge. I think you start seeing convection when you move up into Solitude, which is the big brother to these. And if you've never seen one, you're looking at this thing right here going, what is that? I've seen a lot of people break these. And I almost broke one because I failed to read the sticker that says push to release. You got to push it. And then it drops right down. That is a handy dandy spice rack organizer right there. It drops down right when you need it, right where you need it. And the bigger oven was nice, the drawer below. But what kind of took me by surprise again was the way that once again they made the storage come to you. But look at the size of those. Like, I was like, well, if it slides open, why do I need the side access door? Because I realized these drawers go all the way to the sidewall. So they avoided the potentially lost dead space problem that a lot of like wraparound L-shaped peninsula counter situations often suffer from. That, I'm running into a bedroom door behind me. That I thought was very cool. Upstairs here. Let's swing our way past that privacy pocket door into the bathroom area. We'll begin right down here. Porcelain foot flush stool that you can see is fairly fluffy friendly. Also, that is a one-piece seamless fiberglass shower enclosure, and their upper deck headroom in this is awesome. Like, I'm wearing shoes in that footage, like very comfortable. Now, the thing that is interesting to me is they went with a bedroom, bathroom, closet, wardrobe slide. Obviously, you see I talk with my hands a lot over here. And that does create some decent countertop space in here. You know what I don't know is what kind of storage it creates in here. Stand by. Okay, I was actually I was a little surprised that the rear bathroom had the full treatment with the little, power drawer and whatnot. I'm glad to see that persists on both sides. The thing is, it's kind of difficult for me to get you a good shot at it, but over here I'm going to spin you to the left very slowly so I don't make you motion sick. You also have some good dedicated linen space over here. But one of the other things that I discovered that I wish more RVs would do, they gave us a space for laundry. And it's not a ton, but it's something. You could keep some clothes in there to get them out of the way. Maybe just even if it's the front bedroom clothes. I don't know. Also, this is not super deep where you have to reach in up to your armpit. It's, frankly, I think more functional that way. Now, this is a dual entry bed and bath. I'm not normally the biggest fan of them. It's that way because it has the bedroom bathroom shared slide upstairs. You do have that smart TV straight across from the bed space right there. And as long as we're talking storage stuff, I figured I'd go ahead and get all of that open for you. I got this big bed flipped up and out of the way. Sometimes it's very difficult, depending on the camera angle, to actually get a sense, though, of how big and deep those drawers are. So I want to get broadside on a couple of them. Because standing like this, I don't feel I get any sense of how big those things are. But the thing is, those big, deep drawers, they give us lots of storage. And you have, like, a big double closet over here. That's pretty awesome. This bedroom also looks and feels very open because of that, like, front windshield and whatnot right there. The extra tall ceiling helps. But if you go with the king bed, you are shoved all the way into the corner of this thing, which I know some people are not going to like. The queen is standard. The queen will still give you some space to walk around, but they had to off-center this north-south bedroom because they have that big closet slide over there. One of the benefits of this system, though, because it is north-south, albeit in the corner, that does mean that when the slide closes, there's absolutely no question of, can I use the bed with the slide closed? The answer is yes. And I think by closing the slide, it really helps kind of bring the whole understanding into view here of why that bed has to be shoved way off to the side. I'm not saying I love it. I'm just saying I understand why. Now, one of the cool things here, though, is like if you're going down the road, you got a little traveling potty stop emergency, you can still very easily get to this front bathroom. But that is mostly where the traveling access stops. It's going to be good for the driver and maybe one passenger at a travel stop to use the bathroom. Well, to be fair, the kitchen is still fairly accessible. It's throwing me off. My voice is resonating, my high-pitched voice, especially with that. I'm guessing it's that cheese grater looking veggie strainer thing right there. Yeah, anyway, I don't like the sound of my voice any more than you or my wife. But a lot of times when I see RVs like this, with this refrigerator in this orientation, the fridge door won't clear the island. But I think because they put that dog dish down there, it lifted the whole thing up. And lo and behold, I found I was actually able to open this up. So I'm not saying this is amazing travel access, but man, I've seen worse. All right, now, when it comes to towing, unless you're just getting it across town to your seasonal site where you mostly leave it, I'm going to kind of recommend a dually. It fits within the weight allowances of a lot of SRW 1-tons, but it's so long and it's so wide, which makes it so bossy for stability control reasons, especially in high wind zones. I think you're going to have a lot better towing experience with a dually. I'm always open to hearing from the audience, like, what big RV do you have and what do you tow it with? That's always cool info. Now, to help with that, it does have Saloon radials, which are very respectable. Not every import tire is garbage, so keep that in mind. It also has Dexter Tow Assist, which is both electronic anti-sway and anti-lock braking. One of the things that actually kind of surprises me, not in a positive respect, is that you might have noticed this does have just the conventional Rhino pin box on the front. Now, let's talk pin boxes for a minute. A lot of people like to swap out their factory pin box for something else because it rides smoother. Typically, that provides greater stress on the chassis of the RV. That's one of the major causes of frame flex. I get that that's a touchy conversation, but that is a major factor there. I don't blame customers for changing their pin box, by the way. I blame dealerships who sold you a pin box that should not have been exchanged and took your money and let you break your RV and then act like they had no hand in it. That's my personal feeling, even as somebody who works at a dealership. We've had to amend a lot of our policies on that because we didn't realize that, hey, we're kind of guilty of this too. Now, this is not a drop frame for a fifth wheel. A lot of your big wide body luxuries are. I think it's not amazing. It's decent pass-through storage. Almost borderline minimal. By the way, speaking of minimal, I walked around and looked at the weight tags on this RV, and I feel like the cargo carry capacity on it is fairly minimal as well. What's your opinion there? So you see the gas grill quick connect flickering in the breeze. We do have enclosed, forced air heated, holding tank heaters, radiant barrier, all those things. Oh, crap. I'm so sorry. Squirrel! I didn't finish talking about pin boxes. Historically, this was not a chassis that was approved for swap-out aftermarket pin boxes. Grand Design has been doing a lot of work I don't think a lot of people are aware of. They have basically been redesigning many of their chassis from the ground up to be a little more robust and aftermarket fifth wheel hitch capable. Now, which hitches are they approved for? I don't know. I don't have a list of that yet. I've heard they may even be working on becoming Gen Y approved. And Gen Ys are an awesome pin box. They're expensive, they're awesome, they provide amazing ride and handling, but they also transfer the greatest amount of stress into the chassis of the RV, which is why it feels so smooth to you in your vehicle. So they're working on making these capable of being outfitted with about whatever hardware you want. Now, where they're at in that process at the time this video rolls out, I don't know. If that's a very important factor for you, I would encourage you to contact our team and ask a couple questions. And chances are, because this is very new, the individual on the other end of the phone probably ain't going to know the answer right away. They're probably going to have to say, let me call the factory guy. But the thing is, if they're willing to do that, if they're willing to do the work for you, that's a decent person that will probably take good care of you, that you probably want to do some business with, but that's up to you. Now, your main living room slides are rack and pinion. Your bedroom slides are both Schwintex. They're smaller, they're not super big. That's kind of how Schwintex are supposed to be made. But some people have very specific feelings relating to certain types of slide systems, and I'm not trying to discredit any of that. There are service records out there that speak for themselves. So, I'm not saying, what are you going to believe? What you see or what I tell you, sweetheart? It's what works for you. Now, the thing is, this RV is a true 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom. And the bathrooms almost couldn't be any further apart because you have a bathroom dead on the tail and then one pretty close to the nose. And that means that we have 2 separate black and gray tanks that don't talk to one another. And basically here, when you look at the holding tank capacities on this, the black and the gray look pretty bossy compared to the fresh, and that's kind of the why behind the what. It is an on-demand water heater, by the way. Also, I appreciate that these baggage doors swing. One of the tricky things about this floor plan, I appreciate that they swing because if they flipped up, the bed slide would be in the way. I didn't exactly finish the thought that was in my head. I've had a bad habit of doing that today. It's kind of annoying that you can't hold this baggage door back, really, but there's a water heater exhaust right there and a furnace, so that would cook it. You could burn the stupid thing. And to help you not do that, they actually put a little, hey, don't kill yourself kind of little strap on here. Now, they have also been doing things, they've improved their plumbing systems on these, about 2 or 3 levels above what they were doing. You see the brass fittings all the way around in these here. They're doing some really good work on these. But a lot of people feel a lot of different ways about a lot of different things. I'm not here to convince you one way or the other. I'm here to put the information out there, lay it down, let you decide what you want to do with it, if anything. So, you know, I guess, you know, I work for a dealership group. I get it. I'm not exactly Switzerland in this, but I think I'm trying to be pretty fair. You know what I mean? So, thanks again for tuning in, everybody. As I always do, I'll drop you some links in the description to double check pricing and availability. And remember, most of the time with Grand Design, we are only able to actually publish MSRP on our site. We don't sell for MSRP, but we're not actually able to publish our discounted price due to their pricing policies as it beholds or pertains to dealers. Behold! By the way, you want to have fun? Teach your toddler children, instead of saying, look, teach them to say, behold! So, like, you're just walking through the grocery store one day and they're like, behold, Count Chocula! And everyone will be like, oh, all right, I guess this kid's into Ren fairs? I don't know. Anyway, sorry. Squirrel, typical for me. Thanks again, everybody. I'll leave you some links also to a couple other dual suites that you might take a look at. This one's, I can see this working really well for some people. Might not be everybody's perfect preference. I don't know. That's why I keep getting these different things to let you decide which one's best for you. So till the next time, take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.